I want to try and do this in a way that might not have been done before, because obviously I've watched a lot of interviews with you, and I think you're probably a bit sick of being asked the question about are you a feminist. So I don't want to ask you about that.
I hate that question in general. Then I end up just sounding like a robot, and then
No,
I
no,
seem to manage to annoy everyone, no matter which way I answer the
exactly,
question.
exactly. So I wanted to talk about you really, because obviously I watched the documentary,
Yeah,
and I wanted to get to talk about Tia rather than about Bonnie Blue. So I
yeah,
guess my first question is, do you see a distinction? Is there a distinction between Tia and Bonnie Blue?
not anymore. Um, there used to be massively. Now the whole Bonnie Blue and Tia have sort of really become one.
Is that confusing?
No, not at all. Maybe when I first started, it was like, oh, I feel like I'm saying things that I'd only say if I was like, I guess, in character. Whereas now, everything I say as Bonnie, I believe as Tia. It's just as Bonnie, I say it in a much more clickbaity and I say it in a way which is going to get views. Whereas if people spent more time to speak to me and get to know me, they'd realize, okay, my views are the same. I just say it in a much
Yeah.
softer way.
So as Tia, you wouldn't would you talk about having your insides rearranged and all the kind of as you say the rage baity clickbaity stuff that you say as Bonnie?
In my personal sex life, I would still say to the guy, rearrange my insides, or I want you to mess me up. I want you to leave makeup running down my face. 100%. I probably wouldn't be saying, oh my God, get me a barely legal. No. So I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, there is, when you look at certain things I say, there is still things which are slightly a divide. But I never sleep with 18-year-olds saying, oh, I want to do that because that's who I'd want to date.
Mm.
So even though like I do completely believe it's fine, no, I wouldn't date an 18-year-old
Yeah.
person. I think my
So
date.
I hear Bonnie Blue say that you don't care what anyone thinks. You
Yeah.
don't care what anyone thinks of you at all. But as Tia, is there literally no one's opinion that you care about in your life?
If my pets had a voice, then possibly.
What about your
But
family or your friends?
even if my family said, look, we really want you to stop this, I wouldn't. Um, I've always lived quite a selfish life, I guess. I do what's right for me. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad person at all. I think more people in the world should be selfish and blame less people for things that happen to them. But no, like I've always just based
Mm.
things off what I do off my own happiness as opposed to someone else's opinion or thoughts
So
on
you
me.
have sort of, in a way, there's no other responsibility other than to Bonnie Blue, to the character, to the business, to the brand, to the making of the money, maybe.
My life's focused on my happiness and what I want to do. It's sort of as simple as that. There's no complex meaning or hidden agenda behind
Yeah.
what I do. I want to be happy and I want to live the most beautiful life I can.
When was the last time you met up with mates from school or anything like that?
Um, Possibly a few months ago.
Right. And you still stay in touch with them, and they know Tia rather than Bonnie, even though
Yeah.
maybe Bonnie and Tia are the same thing.
Well, obviously, when I'm with them, I'm completely the same. I'm not saying, come and watch me have
Yeah.
intercourse
Yeah.
with somebody, or, pass me your dad. So, yeah, there is a separation in that sense, but I still talk about sex very proudly in front of
Yeah.
them. But yeah, obviously, it's hard to keep in contact with a lot of people when I travel so often.
A lot of people think that you're quite robotic and that you don't have
Yeah.
much emotion. Um, so when was the last time you cried,
Probably a few weeks ago,
and what made you cry?
my divorce.
Really?
Yeah, I think for anybody that's going through a divorce or a breakup can relate. It's very difficult, no matter the reason for separation. It's always a difficult thing to go through and process.
Because you've been with it's Ollie, isn't it? Your ex.
Yes.
Met him at a very young age. You were sort of childhood sweethearts in that sense. You got
Yeah.
married quite young.
Hmm.
Where did it go wrong?
We just grew apart. Nothing went wrong. We just naturally grew in separate directions. And I think so many couples do that, but because they've had 5, 10 years of memories, they just sort of stay together or think that's the right thing to do. And most couples don't remain super happy. And instead of sometimes doing the right thing, which is separating and splitting up, they actually just stay together because that's the easy option. And
Yeah.
that's the lazy route, to be
So
honest.
it makes you ultimately it's going to make you happier that you're not together, even though it made you cry because it made you sad.
For sure, like it's the end of an era. It's
Right.
the, I think for we've been split off like a year and a half. But there's still part of me, I guess, up until recently that thought maybe we'll fall back in love with each other again. Maybe
Mm,
we'll, end up back together. And that's because we've got 10 years of memories, 10 years of where if you'd have said to me we're going to be separating, I couldn't
yeah.
have disagreed more. But we no longer make each other sort of happy, and that's okay. Like I will always love him. I'll always care very dearly for him, which is why it's upsetting to go through.
Pretty tough for him. I mean, you talk about you sort of act quite selfishly. I was
Yeah.
watching him and I thought it's a pretty tough thing for anyone to sort of share their childhood sweetheart doing the most intimate things that a couple will do
Yeah.
physically with literally hundreds of random guys who are kind of queuing up. That's very. Do you think that's quite emotionally difficult?
For him, he managed it very, very well. Um, he could see how happy it was making me. And during the documentary, we'd already sort of separated at that point.
Right.
We were still working together. We still spent a lot of time together. We were still each other's best friends. But at this point, and the part you would have seen in the documentary, we'd already separated.
That must have contributed to it, though. Do you not think the work that you're doing and great that you're making the money, it's making you happy, but
Yeah,
can't be many guys that are happy with that.
for sure. My dating pool in the future will be very, very slim. But no, and I know it's hard for people to believe that when I say me doing what I do had no
Yeah.
interference with our separation. We really did just grow apart. And when I look at the relationship, well, when we both do, we realized we probably should have separated a few years prior to when we did, but we was holding on to the happy
Yeah.
memories we had as opposed to what we was actually feeling in the present
You
moment.
talk about dating in the future. Do you want a family one day? Is that something that you look to as the thing that would make you happy?
I mean, I've already got a dog and two cats, which I adore, and that they're my family and they mean everything to me. But I used to be so fixated on having children and, living that married life.
You had IVF, I think. Is that right?
If I want children in the future, I'd go through IVF,
Yeah.
yes. But I'm no longer fixated on that. I focus on day-to-day happiness and what I want to do over the next few weeks as opposed to what my life's going to look like in
Yeah.
a few years. At this moment in time, no, I don't want children. But as you grow older, your interests and hobbies change. And I do believe in the future I'll want them. But if you asked me, say, a few years ago, I
Sure.
would have said my whole life was going to be dedicated to having children.
Do you think that's the point at which, if in the future you want children, do you think that's the point at which you'll put the character of Bonnie Blue to rest for a bit, or not?
It really depends. Like I'm putting zero pressure on myself. If I want to have children, I think, I want to have a break. That's fine. But if I
Yeah.
want to continue, then that's also fine. Like I no longer plan for the future because what makes you happy today could be completely different in 5 years.
Yes. But do you? I mean, when you imagine, because anyone who goes through IVF, it's a terrible, terrible thing when it doesn't work. It's obviously very
Yeah.
upsetting. But everyone has in their mind's eye the future child that they might produce. So I just wonder whether you've thought about how you might explain to when your child grows up, oh, this is what mummy does. You might see mummy on social media
Mm.
talking about this, that, and the other. Do you think about, or that your responsibility is then becoming more than just your day-to-day happiness, and actually your
Yeah.
responsibility grows to your child, to your family?
Oh, for sure. Like when you have children, your happiness, has to be focused on them just as much as it is on you. Um, in terms of the conversation, if I had children, yes, I'd have it. I don't know how it would go. I have no idea what the world will even look like by the time my children are of age for me to have that conversation. Like if we was having this conversation 10 years ago, we would have said what's happening now is definitely not happening. So it's
Yeah.
hard for me to predict how young people may even be having sex in the future. So what age
Mm.
I'd have to have that conversation. And so much is changing in terms of sex itself that I don't know what that
But
conversation
if your
is gonna
family,
look like.
you said that if your family say stop, you probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
If your child says stop, mum, I want you to stop.
Then yeah, that'd probably be very different
Yeah.
because my responsibility would be my children.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so yeah, it'd probably be different. Like when you have children, you need to put them before yourself. At the moment, I put myself first.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had children, they asked me to stop, then their happiness would come before mine.
You talk about how happy what you do makes you, which is great. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fantastic, and I think it's very difficult for someone to sit here and say, "Oh, well, it can't make you happy." If it does, it does. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You said sometimes sex is intimidating. When was the last time sex intimidated you?
I guess my last scene that I was intimidated by was in the US, and it was like a live stream with 100 men,
Mm.
all professional people in the industry, and I was definitely intimidated. I didn't feel
Scared?
unsafe, not scared. It was just like a wow, how am I going to feel throughout this?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to take it? Am I going to enjoy it? But it's right to have them either concerns or have them thoughts because
Hmm.
I'm clearly listening to my body and I'm clearly listening to my thoughts. It's more concerning if I just go, I was numb.
Yeah. One of your team, in that documentary, one of your team actually described that shoot as you, quote again, basically got beat up for a few hours. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was a
that that's that can't be good. That's not a
yeah,
good thing.
obviously he said that for entertainment as well as obviously I was not beat up, but yes, that was a really rough and that was one of my hardest scenes
Yeah.
I've ever done. And I don't think I could have done another hour of what that was because it was difficult, but
Would
it
you have
wasn't
said
difficult
stop
if it got too much, 100%. Yeah, like I am very outspoken. I'm not shy and I'm not intimidated when I'm
apart from
actually filming.
yeah,
No, obviously you can get intimidated before the scenes, 100%. But during that like scene when you're actually in that moment in time, if I ever felt like I needed it to slow down, I needed it to change or a different angle, I'd be the first person to
yeah.
speak up and say, hey, I need this to change.
Do you ever have you ever been sexually assaulted? Do you think
No,
in any setting?
no. I mean, when I used to work in sort of recruitment, I had a guy that was slightly inappropriate, but never would I say I felt scared or sexually assaulted
Mm.
ever.
Um, there's a scene where it feels to me like you do talk about the stuff that scares you. You talk about the
Yeah.
potential for an acid attack that
Mm.
really worries you. And in this scene, you talk about the death threats you get. The audience learns that your husband is leaving you.
Yeah.
Um, you're in a house. You're just with the people that you work with. You're doing a puzzle. You're unable to leave the house. Do you see any disadvantages in doing what you do? Because that doesn't look like a particularly happy existence in that moment.
I mean, I feel like that scene in general just sort of exaggerated. There was obviously a lot of conversation around that as well. I was never saying I felt lonely. It's just, no, I don't leave without security now. Um, but no, these clearly give me disadvantages.
Like
But
what?
the is for most women nowadays is
Yeah.
a dangerous world. But that doesn't just apply to me because I have a following, that applies to most women.
But you're right. It is dangerous. But most women do not allow 1,000 random guys to show up and have sex with them, or put themselves in a box and allow. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you are putting. You must admit that you're putting yourself at far greater risk than most women would, or anybody would want.
No, because when I do them, I feel incredibly safe. There's a lot of women that will go home drunk after nights out. They'll be under the influence and they walk through places with a very high crime rate. And even if something happens to them, it's not their fault. But these women that put themselves in dangerous situations a lot more often than I do.
Yeah. So if I were to ask, when was the last time you were able to go and get a coffee on your own or anything like that, or pop
Yeah,
to the
I
shop?
haven't.
That doesn't
But it's
happen.
more of peace of mind. It's not because I feel endangered. It's more just so, I'm very financially well off. So
Yeah.
why not put myself in a situation where I am safe all the time? I've always got expensive jewelry on me, or, I do have a following. I just put myself in a safe position to avoid
Yeah.
the what if this happens or what if I go out and this escalates.
So do you remember when the last time that happened? When we were able to walk and go get a coffee on your own without security?
I mean, one, I don't drink coffee, I only drink Pepsi Max, but the last time I sort of went out by myself was probably like November, December.
It's quite a long time to not be able to go and get a Pepsi Max on your own or
Yeah,
pop
I
to the
mean, have you
shop.
not seen how hot security officers are nowadays? Like, I am completely fine.
Yeah. I just don't know whether that's because you make all this money. You say you're very, very wealthy and good on you.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of people would say, or perhaps think that whether that money is fundamentally going to make you happy if you can't leave the house without security, if you're stuck at home on your own, your husband, your
Yeah.
marriage is broken down.
Obviously, anyone going through a breakup it is not very nice. But what the documentary doesn't show a lot is I go on holiday, I get to travel the world, I go on fishing trips, camping trips, beautiful boat trips that I could never have experienced before. Like there's a lot of my life that wasn't captured. My life is better and I'm happier than ever. And I know it's hard for people to believe because of what I do, but the money I earn has allowed me to create more memories than I could have ever created in a lifetime.
Do you think there was any other way of you ever earning that money?
Not this amount of money, no.
You
Maybe if
said,
I won the lottery,
yeah,
but
you've said I think that you would stop at 5 million a month.
not stop. I'd like to earn 5 million a
Yeah,
month.
of course. Who wouldn't?
Um, yeah, exactly. But if it got to a point like the money I'm earning now, I don't necessarily need more. Like, yes, I'd like more, but my life would not change whether I was earning what I'm earning now or whether it doubled or tripled. My life would remain the same. So as long as I stay happy and I stay, enjoying my life, then that is the
Yeah.
priority.
And enjoying your life is the be all and end all. I mean, it is kind of,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me saying, sort of unbelievably directly, selfishly hedonistic. It is just one happy experience to another happy experience and kind of damn the
Yeah.
consequences as long as it's making me money.
I mean, the consequences, like everyone around me is happy. I live a very beautiful life. And even though, yes, I would continue if my family said stop, yes, I do check in with them. Yes, I make sure they're okay. And they are. Everyone around me is. And
Who checks in
all
with
of
you?
our lives are improved. Pardon?
Who checks in with you?
My team, my family, my friends. But they check in with me a lot, but they already know the answer. They can
Mm.
see how happy I am. They can see in the photos I send them in the WhatsApp groups, like the things I get up to. And I don't mean the crazy events that most people see. It's the side of me that I guess a lot of people are still yet to see.
Do they must have been talking to you a lot about this split up. If again that's made you upset and
Yeah,
sad, they must have trying to help you through that.
for sure. It's like any split up, your family and friends are going to be there for you. But yeah, it's hard and it's a lot of paperwork and divorce is not fun. But I still have a beautiful relationship with my ex-partner.
Talk about the danger that might come with doing the things that you do.
Yeah.
You went to see Andrew Tate recently and you did a podcast with him and
Mhm.
everything. He says, if you put yourself in a position to be raped, you must bear some responsibility. I'm not saying it's okay you got raped. No woman should be abused regardless. However, with sexual assault, they want to put zero blame on the victim whatsoever. Do you agree with that? That if you were to be sexually assaulted in one of these events, that Andrew Tate would say you'd have to be blamed, take some responsibility for that?
Um, there's zero responsibility on the girl. It's terrible and it's unfortunate, but I do understand where he's coming from. When I met him, he explained it in a much larger sort of context and said, if you had a fancy watch on, if you had money hanging out your pocket and you had a designer handbag and you walked through an area that a lot of crime was happening, you knew watches were being stolen and money was taken out your pockets, and you walked through that area with all of that jewelry and money hanging out, people would say to you, what did you expect?
So they're
And
asking for it.
they're not asking for it, but could you have done more things to protect yourself? Yes.
So,
And
but the same question could be asked of you, can't it? I mean, there you are inviting 1,000 random guys to come and do what they want to
sure,
do to you.
but I'm
Um,
not saying I'm in danger or I'm saying I'm unsafe. Whereas there
but
will
you
be
are.
some
I mean, you
women
are
that
definitely unsafe. That is definitely an unsafe environment, potentially. So if you get sexually
potentially, but
assaulted, Andrew Tate would say, and you would sort of agree with it, that you put yourself in that position.
yeah, there's definitely times where people could have done more to prevent that happening. 100%.
You talk about the need to teach about consensual sex. Um,
Yeah,
you say it should be taught at a much younger age. From
yeah, for
when?
sure.
From when?
I don't know, and I don't think I'm the best person to ask because I think each child is so different in terms of the way they grow up and the things they're surrounded by. I was sexually active from the age of 13, so I probably should have started having the conversations around 12 regarding sex. And a lot of parents like to play naive. They like to pretend that their children aren't having sex, but they are.
Hmm.
And I think school should be more responsible, in terms of the level of education they get and the consent around sex. And parents, and I know it's an awkward conversation, and it's a conversation you might not want to have, but you're better to be safe than sorry. You're better
Sure.
to have the conversation than to think, "Ah, I wish I'd have said it sooner."
Who are the people you look up to? Who are your role models in life? Whether they're your family
Um,
or famous people or I don't know, artists, singers, writers.
I don't know if this is a boring answer, but there's no one I look at, there's no one I idolize, there's no one's life I look at and think, I want to recreate your life. I want
Yeah.
your life. I've always looked at, I guess, celebrities to a certain degree and think, God, imagine just traveling the world. Imagine going to these beautiful places. Or imagine waking up on a Monday not thinking I need to go and sit in rush hour and go to work. I've always idolized the lifestyle of flexibility and freedom,
Hmm.
but I've never idolized a single person or I guess even a family member. And I've said that to my family before. I says, as much as you are happy, I don't want your life. I don't want to have the living in the same area as what you
Yeah.
sort of grown up in, going on them one or only two holidays a year.
Do
Like
you think that's
I want
sad
more.
as an existence? That's a bit of a
No, some
down.
people love that.
Yeah.
Some people absolutely love that, and that is fine. The people I don't like is the people that complain about it, but then do nothing to change it. That frustrates me. I think I don't even want to listen to you crying about it because you've put yourself in that situation. And they're the ones that blame everyone else
Mm.
because they didn't win the lottery, as opposed to looking in the mirror.
What about politicians?
Oh my God, I couldn't even tell you one thing about politics or
Who would you
how,
vote for tomorrow? If there's an election tomorrow, you're standing at the ballot box. Who are you going to vote for?
what's the options?
I'm going to give you Nigel Farage, Keir Starmer, Kemi Badenoch, Ed Davey.
Oh God,
Labour, Tory, Reform, Lib Dem.
I honestly have no idea about any of them. Could you give me a clue of which one's better to vote for?
Well, that's not my place to say, Tia. Have
Yeah,
you ever voted?
I mean, I'm blonde and I do what I do for work. There's no way I
Oh no, but
understand.
you should have a say in our democracy. That is really important. You're a big figure. You know, people know who you are. Be
Can I choose option five and just leave the country?
option five. You're out of here.
Yeah,
Um,
can you just kick me out? I'll take that one.
have you ever voted at all?
No. And I know that's going to annoy people, but I don't care. I've not voted and I don't care to have an interest. I can't imagine I'll live in the UK long term.
I really.
To be
You
fair, I
want?
never wanted to live here anyway. I got kicked out of Australia and then I just ended back in the UK.
Where would you go to?
I'm not sure yet. Um, Anywhere that's got a nice beach, nice weather. They've got to speak some English because, well, it's the only language I know.
Dubai, Middle East, something like that.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they've got a few nice shops,
Yeah.
beaches.
Your
Um,
money would go very quickly in Dubai. I think
yes,
you could buy a
but
lot of stuff.
I'd have to do a few more, you know what,
Sure.
to maintain my
Uh,
lifestyle.
but you don't want to be in the UK because you don't like the atmosphere. You don't like the country.
I've always dreamed, which is why I moved to Australia, a very outdoorsy lifestyle, being by the beach, being just more, I guess, with nature as opposed to what the UK has to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love my life in Australia. It was beautiful.
I'm really grateful to you for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been really interesting to speak to Tia rather than just the Bonnie Blue
Yeah.
character. But I know you say there's no distinction. Thank you very much indeed for doing it, and good luck with
Thank you.
everything.
All right, amazing. Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.